Hey guys, Dr. Peacher. I'm a veterinarian who has been practicing in South Africa for around about 2 years now, working with all sorts of animals, including dogs, cats, horses, cows, sheep, goats, pigs, chickens, you name it. And in today's video, I would like to share 5 things that I learned as a newly graduated veterinarian during these past years that I wish I knew before I came into this profession. This video is mainly aimed at students who are either thinking of becoming a vet or those who are already studying vet science. But it will also be good for pet owners to get a peek behind the mask of what it really takes to be a veterinarian. Now, I will start off by saying that vet science can be an incredibly rewarding profession and that I enjoy at least 80% of the work that I do every single day. So the purpose of this video is not to scare you away from pursuing this profession, but there are some misconceptions about vet science that I personally had that I want to share with you guys. And I'm not going to sugarcoat them, as I believe that it is important that you get an accurate representation of the challenges we as veterinarians need to face on a weekly basis. Alright, so without further ado, let's get into it. Number 1, you cannot save everything. This is probably the hardest part of being a vet for me to accept. Seeing that I am a very analytical and problem-solving oriented person, I am wired to try and find solutions for all types of challenges, especially when it comes to my patients. But because there are so many moving parts involved in the health of pets, you will be faced with defeat more times than what you would like. Some patients just present too ill to be helped, while others can be saved, but due to financial constraints, you are limited in your capabilities to save them. And to quote Dr. Melanie Bowden, there is nothing more soul-crushing in life than having the skills and ability to help something helpless and you can't do it because someone can't afford treatment. Some pets will die despite you doing everything according to the book, and others may even die because you made a mistake. These are all hard and bitter pills to swallow. As veterinarians, we are trained to excel, to never accept defeat and not to make any unnecessary mistakes. But we are also only human, and failing and making mistakes is part of the job. Number 2, you will never know everything. Coming fresh out of uni, your head will be filled with theoretical knowledge and maybe even some practical skills. But I can promise you that once you enter the real world of being a vet, it will feel like your vase of knowledge and skills that you spent so many years filling up will completely become shattered. One of the most challenging things for me as a recent graduate was to apply my theoretical knowledge to a practical scenario. As a vet student, you may have been assigned to different cases and you may even have given the opportunity to decide what you want to do with each patient. But there was also an experienced clinician in full control of what actually ends up happening. So once you get your doctor or DVM title, you are in charge and you are responsible for what you decide to do. This is both very exciting but also extremely terrifying. I can't even tell you how many times I felt like I knew absolutely nothing and how often I questioned my own reasoning, especially during emergency situations where I need to make a life and death decision within seconds. But this feeling of shock usually wears off once you realize that it is just you. You are the only one who can save this pet's life. And then in some strange way, you start to recall what you learned, you default to the basics, and you somehow figure out what needs to be done. And repeating this process many times over builds muscle memory, and the next time you are faced with a similar situation, you feel much more competent to deal with it. This is where experience kicks in, and which is why I believe that experience beats knowledge by a mile. So even though you may feel like you learned everything in uni, you will realize that the actual learning part only really begins once you enter the work field, and that you will be learning something new every single day. On that note, do not underestimate the value that experienced support staff like vet nurses and vet techs can add to your own set of skills, and always be willing to learn from everyone, regardless of the title in front of their name. Don't be an ignorant young vet that pretends you know everything just because you have the title. No one likes that kind of attitude, and you will just end up shooting yourself in the foot. Be humble and be willing to learn from those who have more experience than you. Trust me, you will always be better off than by being stubborn and not accepting anyone else's input. Number 3, don't underestimate the value that you can add. For us as vets, each pet that walks through our doors may just be another patient to us, but to its owner, that pet may be their entire life. It is usually the case when a dog or cat belonged to one member of an elderly couple that passed away, and that pet is all that the remaining member have left of their partner. They see and associate their lifelong companion every single day in that pet, and when something goes wrong or the pet falls ill, it really hits hard for them, as in some way they may feel that they may be losing their partner for a second time. So as vets, we need to acknowledge this and provide the pet and its owner with the best quality of service that we can, even by just putting in a bit more effort to explain a condition or to answer the owner's many questions can really have a big impact on their lives. This often requires a lot of patience, especially when dealing with older people, but seeing that you are in a position to save their beloved pet's life, you are indirectly also saving the owner's will to live as well. Number 4, not everyone will think that you are a good vet. This one hits hard for me. I personally try to give my best with every single case that I encounter, and although I really put in the effort to offer a good service by being thorough with my clinical exam, by explaining in detail which diagnostic test we need to run and why it is necessary, and although I really try to educate the pet owner on what their pet is going through, some people will resonate with your way of teaching, while others simply won't. It's just because we are all wired differently and we respond differently to different people's methods of teaching. Think back to when you were at school or uni. You may have experienced some teachers to be excellent and others to be poor. And just as we perceive some people to be more knowledgeable about a certain subject than others, some pet owners may perceive our knowledge or the way that we present our knowledge to be inadequate. This should not deter you to always try your best, but just know that you won't be able to impress every single client that walks through your door, no matter how hard you try, and that is okay. Now, with the last one, I will be direct, as there really is no way to sugarcoat this. Do not allow yourself to be killed by this profession. And yes, I mean that literally. I'm sure that you are all aware that veterinary science has the highest suicide rate of all the professions, and I can personally attest that I'm hearing about vets committing suicide almost on a weekly basis. This is no joke and something that we really need to take seriously. This profession is tough. We are expected to know so much about so many things. We need to develop so many skills on so many different areas in life. We often need to work ridiculous hours without having to take a break, and we are often on the front line of having to have difficult discussions regarding finances with our clients, often being manipulated or emotionally abused to devalue our services by offering it at a discount. Being a vet takes way more than just your medical training. Apart from the medicine and surgery work that you were trained to do, you will be expected to be a counselor, an educator, a financial advisor, a team leader, a psychiatrist, a businessman, an accountant, and the list goes on and on. This profession will challenge you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and intellectually. And if you allow it, it may drain you to a point where every ounce of willpower and motivation runs dry, resulting in dangerous thoughts about just ending it all. Our biggest motivation as vets is to help animals, right? And we are in a very fortunate position to be able to save lives every single day. But what is the point in saving lives if it is at the cost of your own? Not only for you, but also for those you leave behind. Depression is very serious and very much alive in our profession, and being the stubborn individuals that we often are, we would rather want to sweep these dangerous thoughts under the rug than bringing them to light, causing them to build up over time, and before we know it, it may be too late to save ourselves. So please, if this profession starts to weigh too heavy on your shoulders, rather kill the profession before it kills you. There are so many ways to use your skills as a veterinarian and still make a massive difference in the world apart from just doing clinical work. There's no shame in admitting that something is not a good fit for you and that you'd rather pursue another field that does not carry so many burdens alongside it. If any vets, vet nurses or vet students even remotely feel that they are headed towards a dark path, then please reach out to me via email. I will leave my email address down in the description and I will personally get into contact with you. There are many support groups out there that are more than willing to help as well. So please don't ever feel like you are alone, because you are not. Chances are that whatever you are going through now, someone else already experienced something very similar and managed to get out on top, and who can in turn provide guidance and support to you where necessary. If we don't stand up for ourselves as individuals and for our profession as a whole, then we will never change these dreaded statistics. And if you are a pet owner watching this, please show your vet, vet nurse, vet tech, and all the other support staff at your local veterinary clinic some extra love and appreciation. You have no idea how much this could mean for someone who is in a very dark place. Now, there are so many great things about this profession, and I don't want this video to only highlight the worst and most difficult part of being a vet. As I mentioned earlier, this profession can be incredibly rewarding on so many different aspects, but I do wish that I were given these cold hard facts before I decided to be a vet, as this is real and some of the biggest challenges you might also face one day when you hang that stethoscope over your shoulders. This is my personal experience and I want to pass it forward to the next generation of vets so that you guys can have a more accurate picture of what being a vet is really like. And this is what this whole channel is all about, to help you guys make better informed decisions. So if you are new here, then a massive warm welcome to our family, and please subscribe so that you don't miss out on any future videos. And if you have any specific questions regarding being a vet, then please feel free to drop them in the comments and I'll be happy to answer them as soon as possible. Okay, cool guys, have a lekker week, be safe, and I'll see you in another video next week.